Freaking out, man. You can't handle the truth. You can't handle the truth.
What do all men with power want? More power.
My name is Gianluca Zanna. I was an Italian by birth, and I became an American by choice. Our lives and freedoms are in danger. This is not a drill. If you're listening to this broadcasting, you are the resistance.
All systems go.
Welcome to Love, Guns, and Freedom. Here we go, guys. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom on K-Talks 1340 AM and on United States.FM network. Another Sunday, another show. And sometimes another burden. Let me tell you something. I'm really, I don't know. Sometimes more I know, and more I am getting like a little bit of a weight over my back. And that's okay. It means at least I'm trying to dig. I'm trying to dig information. I'm trying to dig things that I didn't know. And there is so much I've been learning the last 2 years since I've been on the air. That's pretty much one of the reasons also why I decided to stay on the show. You know, when they offer me this opportunity, they say, you know what, maybe it's an opportunity not just to share what I know, but to learn new things, because I'm going to always meet new people. And I think it's very important. This is the moment that more than ever, as a human beings, we must be curious. We must challenge ourselves. We must have an open mind. Because what's happening right now, it's almost impossible to believe. It's almost out of a sci-fi movie. I say, what are you talking about, all these things? You know, in the past I talked the last few months, a topic that normally not many airwaves, not many radio stations, at least on the air, like to talk about it. It's so almost, when they call us, they call us, the tinfoil hat. By the way, I hate that term. I think it's so demeaning. But the point is, whenever I talk about something, I do my research. And I'm willing to be laughed at. I don't care. I'm willing to people calling me names because I don't care. This is so important, what I'm going to talk to you today, that is even more disturbing than what we talked probably about a few months ago. A few months ago, I had several guests, and one of them was Mrs. Karen Stewart, a former NSA whistleblower, that also I had her on the show because she claims, according to a record, according to experience and an opinion, and facts also, to be a targeted individual. Interesting that a few weeks later, she was also, let's say, part of, I call it what is a media psyop on the New York Times, of an article about targeted individuals. I believe that article was almost like, let's say, some sort of an answer, because this topic of targeted individual is coming out more and more on also mainstream. So they're trying to fight it back, and they try to label people who claim to be targeted individuals like to be crazy. By the way, the little YouTube that I did out of the interview started to get viral and also got picked up by the New York Times. We also almost to 22,000 viewers and growing. But the point is this one. Now, you may believe or not the target individual exists as a program. That's, you can do whatever you want. I'll bring you the evidence, you do your researches, and then we can, whatever. I did my job. But one thing that we should be aware, and I think should freak out everybody, and I don't care if you believe or not on target individuals, when some people, and I'll bring you today the guest in a few minutes, that when somebody, for example, like the guest of today, try to exercise his First Amendment in front of the place that's supposed to be the people's place also, the White House. That's not the house of a man, it's our house. And peacefully exercising his First Amendment to try to bring awareness to a topic that you may agree or not. In this case, is the target individuals. And when you realize that this man, against his will, he get, in my opinion, he get kidnapped and put in a mental facility against his will. That's something, regardless you believe or not on the target individual, something that we should all pay attention. Today's guest is a gentleman that I never had a chance to talk in person, but I'm glad he's here with me so can give us more information on what happened to him. And his name is Tyrone Dew, a targeted individual. Tyrone, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here. How you doing today?
Thank you very much. And thank you for your time. I know you're a busy guy. I would like to give you the floor And so you can introduce yourself a little bit and tell us a little bit about you, and briefly reminding to the listener, especially for the new listeners, what it means to be a target individual, especially in your situation. And then we can go straight to the event, or the tragic event, in my opinion, that happened to you when you were kidnapped and put in a mental facility in front of the White House because you were exercising your First Amendment. Go ahead.
Well, my name is Tyrone Dew. I'm a 35-year-old black male. I used to be very successful on several internet companies in Huntington Beach, California. I was a scholar athlete, had scholarships to the University of Kentucky to play football. But throughout my life, I have been a victim of non-consensual human experimentation by the CIA, military, and DARPA using brain-computer interface directed energy weapons. These particular weapons lock onto your brain print. I don't know if you guys know this, but my brain frequency and your brain frequency is just as unique to each other as our fingerprints are.
Yes.
And they have technology that, they've developed called remote neural monitoring, which if you look up the patent on uspto.gov, the patent number you can use is 3951134. Now, this is actually patented April 20th of 1976, and this is one of the first brain-computer interface technologies ever developed.
Wow.
And it's an apparatus and method for remotely monitoring and altering brain waves. Whenever someone talks about remote neural monitoring, they're automatically labeled as a conspiracy theorist instead of speaking about conspiracy fact. I don't know if you know this or not, but in the 70s, a lot of this brain-computer interface technology was done, researched at UCLA. And then a few years later, DARPA actually got a contract, to do more brain-computer interface type of technology. So they're using basically microwaves and radio waves to tap into your neural network. Your brain operates like a computer. You have a neural network of neural transmitters and receivers. And naturally, your body sends, your neural transmitters and neural receivers sends frequencies between each other. So literally we are being, our brains and our bodies are being hijacked. They are literally attacking us. Sometimes they cause extreme pain to where you feel like your brain is being electrocuted. Sometimes you feel like your thought process is being interrupted. Some days I literally feel when I'm trying to process a thought, I can feel the part of my brain. If I was to look at it on like on an MRI screen, I can probably show you the part of the brain that I feel, being affected when I try to process a thought. And then they begin, trying to implant other thoughts into my mind. It's not like, the thoughts that they implant are pleasant thoughts. It's not like I have to react on these thoughts. But it does make it very difficult when you're trying to, focus on anything. When I was in high school, I was attacked so much to where I would sit in class and this voice I would hear talking to me would speak so loud that I couldn't even hear my teacher, doing the daily lesson. As I became older, it wasn't an everyday thing. That's one reason why I never thought I was mentally ill, because of how this voice would talk to you. I mean, when this voice is asking you questions and telling you things about what's going on around you, you automatically know that you're not mentally ill. When you hear a voice telling you, can you feel, can you feel what I'm doing to you? And you feel like your brain is being electrocuted. And then you hear this voice say, no, I'm going to stop. And the pain stops. And then they say, no, I'm going to do it to you again. And they start re-inflicting the pain. Wow. You automatically know that you're not mentally ill. You know what I mean?
I know. And let me tell you something, Tyrone, because this is very interesting for me. After the interview with Karen Stewart, I'm still pretty much learning all this. About a week later, I thought there was some sort of my maybe imagination. But every time I was getting close to grids, like smart meters or electronics, things like that, I started to have change of mood and voices in my head, seriously, at least like something that was a message that I cannot repeat right now over the radio, and I don't want to repeat, it's personal, but so disturbing that I thought maybe maybe I'm just having too much work, maybe I'm just tired. And then I tell you, I started to really pay attention to this, every time I was getting out from electronics, all this was getting at least much better. But then I started to notice when I go, for example, in some part of the cities, in towns where there are smart meters or things like that, for about a month, I had terrible, terrible moments. And that's happened by accident, by coincidence, after this interview with Mr. Stewart. Then out of the blue, disappeared. What do you think? Maybe just my imagination, or maybe there is something that could be also connected to what you're saying?
Well, you know what? Here's the thing. It is scientifically proven that 10.8 hertz can cause riotous behavior. Okay, so when you speak about your emotions changing, 6.6 hertz can cause depression. So it is scientifically proven that your emotions can be affected by certain frequencies.
Wow.
So I wouldn't doubt that what you were experiencing, was your was frequencies affecting your emotions, the voices and everything. I mean, listen, they have a technology called voice to skull, and the U.S. patent for it is 6470214, and this is December 13th, 1996. I mean, This technology literally says in the patent, no microchip implant needed to transmit radio frequencies to nerve signals which are sent to the brain, thereby enabling intelligible speech to be perceived by the brain. So, I mean, all the information is out there, for people who think that victims of this non-consensual human experimentation, are conspiracy theorists. There's a lot of facts that prove this conspiracy. I wrote a book about my personal experiences in 2013. Okay, I wrote it in August. I published it in August 13th of 2013. This was 33 days before the Washington Navy Yard shooter. Aaron Alexis, a 34-year-old black male who complained for several months about being a victim of directed energy attacks. He then went to work armed with a shotgun, and he etched into the shotgun, "My ELF weapon, end of torment, not what y'all say, better off this way," before murdering 12 people and being murdered himself.
Wow.
He sent a personal email to an organization called Freedom from Covert Harassment and Surveillance. This is a nonprofit organization. Most of us who are victims, when we're looking on the internet, trying to find help, trying to find someone who we can either commiserate with or, at least have someone.
Hello? That's interesting. Wow.
That we can talk to about this. FFCHS, pretty much is the only organization out there. Anyway, I published my book. Yeah, it is. So after publishing my book, I then met Robert Duncan in 2014. He's a former CIA engineer. This guy actually developed and helped research voice of God weapons. And he's openly admitting that citizens are being targeted, chosen for non-consensual human experimentation. That this is a no-touch torture program. I mean, you can look at the interview on YouTube. If you type in Tyrone Dew and Robert Duncan, he openly admits in the interview, knowing that I'm a TI, knowing that I'm one of the oldest TIs as far as years of being in the program.
Wow.
And, he apologizes for it. He apologizes for his part in what has ruined my life, Sure. So I just want you guys to know, your listeners to know, I wouldn't believe this stuff either. If I wasn't a victim, I would have no reason to be trying to research this. And, if someone told me about it, I probably wouldn't believe it either if I did not have these experiences that I've had. And, after doing the research, I mean, it's pretty much, it's open to the public. Obama signed brain initiative research, okay? But Obama has not taken any initiative to research the motive of victims of, brain-computer interface. I mean, there have been 3 black young males since Obama has been in office who have committed mass shootings, who directly complained about being a targeted individual. I mean, I'm not a racist or anything, but you would expect that any president, especially a president of the same race as you, if you have such an outlandish claim of being a victim of something that, and given the history of America and blacks with non-consensual human experimentation, you would think that someone would investigate this, especially with him signing brain initiative research, giving DARPA pretty much a, blank check, to do all the research that they want, and there is no oversight for this stuff. I went to the Secretary Advisory Committee for Human Research Protections, and, you can see how I was talking when I was there on YouTube. Just go to my YouTube channel, Tyrone Dew as a TI, and you can see several videos of activism. But let me tell you something interesting. When I was at the Secretary Advisory Committee for Human Research Protections, there was a document there, and the document literally says that the military is exempt from any oversight when it comes to surveillance, okay,
Wow.
and any type of technology they use during surveillance. So could you imagine if they got us in like some surveillance program, there's no oversight, and they're using all of these voice of God weapons or hand of God weapons, the brain-computer interface technology against us, and no one is believing us. This is the kind of stuff that leads into people being thought of as mentally ill. When I stood outside in the when I stood outside in front of Washington, D.C., this was in 2015. This is like August of 2015.
August the 15th, right? Because I have in front of me the YouTube, by the way, of...
Yes.
I mean, this is pretty scary. I mean, what you're saying, by the way, I'll let you talk because this is so much great information. And I like when you bring facts. I like when you bring patents. I mean, guys, out there, this technology is on the open. It's in front of you. If you have not the courage to see it, that's your problem. But it's been there. And the problem is people can say, I don't believe the government would ever do that. Guess what? In the last 80 years, at least even 50 years, we have hundreds of declassified documents that prove that the U.S. government, or at least part of the U.S. government, is being experimenting against our will, our consent on civilians. And just for the locals, we are here in Mojave County, Arizona. Part of the show is broadcast here. 50 years ago, people used to laugh at the idea that probably they were experimenting nukes on this area against probably the health concerns of the civilians. Now, these people are dead. They are called the downwinders, the Mojave downwinders. All these people died because they were breathing this nuclear radioactive crap coming from the military. They were playing gods with their nukes just a few miles from here. So, yes, wake up, okay? You don't want to hide behind the patriotism, the biggest form of patriotism. You need to stand up for the truth and not being afraid to point the finger at some elements of this government. They're a bunch of corrupted devils. Okay, sorry.
Go
ahead.
For the citizens who are reluctantly to believe that the U.S. government, will commit non-consensual human experimentation on its own, on citizens, they should actually go and look at Bill Clinton's speech in 1996 when he openly apologized, to the public about non-consensual human experimentation. So Bill Clinton, I believe he was the, 40-something. What was he, like the 41st or 42nd president or whatever?
Yeah.
Anyway, he openly apologized. In public, he did a whole speech about it. Not only the Tuskegee experiment, but there was also Operation Sea Spray, where in San Francisco they actually put a biological disease up into the fog.
Yes,
because they wanted to see how what the effects would be of the fog carrying this disease. And then there was Project MK Ultra. Now, Project MK Ultra, that's exactly what I'm experiencing and a lot of other TIs. Project MK Ultra was a known CIA, exposed CIA program that dealt with mind control. Okay, they literally kidnapped American citizens. They kidnapped Canadian citizens off the streets. They would take them to certain locations, and they would use different methodologies, including technology, to alter their to alter their personalities, to alter their behavior. Mm-hmm. So now, in 1973, Senator Frank Church, I believe he was from Idaho. He literally exposed MK Ultra when he finally got, a warrant from the FBI, to serve the CIA. They destroyed some 20 or 30,000 documents. Now this is all documented within the not just the internet research, but this is literally, if you go to like the Library of Congress, you can find this stuff. This is factual information. There is no conspiracy theory about anything that I'm saying. I only use facts. I do not like to use theories because theories, when you're talking about theories, then that leave it open to something being wrong,
exactly.
or something not actually happening. When I discuss facts, these are facts. This is what happened. So as a young man, I was standing out in front of the White House, during the August area. I think it was like August 15th.
Yes.
Or like the 2nd or 3rd of August is when it began. So I'm standing outside. and I'm passing out information with Aaron Alexis and Myron May on it. I'm wearing my T-shirt that I wear every day since 2014, since Myron May, the young, successful trial attorney who abruptly resigned from his job, went to Florida State where he, graduated college. He did 3 YouTube videos before going to Florida State and committing a mass shooting. Okay,
Wow.
so this was another young man who complained about being a targeted individual. He also contacted FCHS before committing the shootings. So since then, there were 2 young black men who were close to the same age as me. And, the reason why I keep bringing up their race is because here I am, the same age as they are, and I was going through this myself, and human experimentation has been going on for so many years. So, I mean, for me, it became more and more personal, very, very personal. Like, okay, you guys are literally taking the best of society and, and literally attacking us.
Tyrone, let me ask you something. Let me ask you something. First of all, I tell you, listening to you, you sound like a very educated and smart guy. Seriously. And I'm going to try, from outside, everything I can say, but you're crazy, okay? You bring logic, you bring knowledge, you bring facts, okay? And the fact that, by the way, I was watching the YouTube of your arrest. You were surrounded, and I may play a few seconds, by these people in shorts. They are dressed in different type of outfits. Secret Service, some they are police. But the point, they treat you like you are, I don't know, Osama bin Laden probably would have a better treatment, I guess. Seriously. You surround them. You're doing something so basic, exercising your First Amendment in a peaceful way, and treat it like you are a criminal. But the point is that really, I think now we should all pay attention. As I said, guys, we bring the facts. And then if you want to have the courage to face these facts and do your own researches, the information is out there. But the point is, regardless you believe or not on the facts, and I'm not calling conspiracy, of the targeted individuals, well, we should look at this now from a very simple, basic human rights, and also what's supposed to be the land of the free. When we have a human being, in this case an American, exercising in a peaceful way his First Amendment in a public place that pretty much is allowed, and it's not like any restrictions, and instead of just say, okay, everything's cool, no, he's surrounded by all these secret services, and you have now to face, I don't know how many days, we will go in details, you're going to be, against your will, detained in a mental facility. That's scary. That belongs something to even when they used to do for the political dissidents in Russia or in places like China or in Pinochet in Chile. Or in Italy, probably during Mussolini. All the people that they were against the fascism, they put them in the mental hospital. Okay, that's what we really now we need to start to at least focus on that. Let me play 1 second this little short video from your channel. By the way, before we go ahead, give your website, please. Where can people learn more about you?
You guys can go to www.tiawareness.com.
Okay, perfect. Let me play this 1 second. Probably it doesn't give justice because you got to watch what's going on. And I will post this YouTube on today's show on Love, Guns, and Freedom, lovegunsfreedom.com.
How you gonna ask? Hey, my budget does not allow me to afford Big Macs at this time.
No?
No. But
Big Macs under the $1 menu yet?
Nah, they aren't. I wish they were. So what's going on? What do we want to talk about today?
Oh, let's see how you're doing.
Oh, well, you asked me to stop for a second, and then 4 of you showed up.
That way we're in the shade.
Oh, hell yeah, I'm with that. As long as we're in the shade, But why do you want me to stop in the shade, though? You want to search my bags or something? Oh, I would allow you?
No, we already talked to you. We don't need to look in your bag.
Oh, well, am I free to go?
No, just hang on for a second.
Just hang on for a sec. So I'm not free to go. I haven't did anything.
We got some other people who want to talk to you for a minute.
I have complied with everything that you guys have ever.
Absolutely.
Okay.
We really appreciate that, and we hope that you'll be compliant and want to just hang out a minute and talk to them.
We just got other people that want to talk to you, hear your story.
Oh yeah.
That's it.
Oh yeah. Well, this is why I'm here. I am here to tell my story to the people who possibly.
Make sure that you're doing okay. I know you've told us that you are, but these are the guys.
They want to be sure that you're doing okay. This is insane. By the way, you're surrounded like a cow before they bring you to the slaughterhouse. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And these young punks, and I feel sorry for their soul, seriously. They are so proud. They think they're defending the nation. you know, ganging against an American, I mean, they should be ashamed of themselves. Their mother should slap it in their face when they go back home. Seriously, I'm ashamed to watch this video. I feel sorry for America. My God. I mean, you were so polite,
Yeah.
so straight. You know your rights. And the sad thing now, they tell you, wait, we got to check. Somebody got to check you on you. We want to be sure you're okay. You're okay. What you mean you'll be sure you're okay? So after this, what happened? Because I cannot play all the videos on the air, but I will post them all. How did they go from this interaction that they lock you up in the mental facility? Please give us this.
Well, okay. Well, I'll tell you what happened. Directly after talking to Secret Service, and as you hear them in the video saying they have some other people who want to show up and talk to me and make sure I'm okay, and they want to help me. There was 2 people who showed up from CPEP, which is the Psychiatric Mobile Crisis Team. All right, and you can look in the other video and see when I'm talking to the people from CPEP. So they show up and they begin asking me questions, and while they're asking me questions, I would ask them things like, what do you call someone who is hearing voices? You guys would say that they're schizophrenic, and if they say the military is involved or the CIA, then you guys say that they're delusional. And the guy from CPEP, he was like, yes, you're right. You're absolutely right. That is what we would call people who say they hear a voice. And then I would begin asking him, like, what do you know about, voice of God technology? What do you know about non-consensual human experimentation? What do you know about citizens who are being targeted with these technologies? And, the guy who was doing the talking to me, he says, well, we have this piece of paper here that shows your tweets. I say, okay, what are you talking about? So they showed me a piece of paper that they printed out. And on one of the tweets, it says something about a mass shooting. And I said, I never put that tweet on there. I said, let's go to my Twitter account and see if it's there. We went to my Twitter account. The tweet was not there. They go, you deleted it. I say, when in the hell did I have time to delete the tweet? You literally followed me all the way over to McDonald's and back over here to in front of the White House. I had no idea you guys were going to harass me. I didn't even know the tweet was there. Wow. So why would you even say, when did I have time to delete it? I've been sitting here recording this entire conversation, So then what they did was they said, well, we have, what we're going to do is we're going to take you down and get you evaluated. And I said, well, you guys can't do that. I said, I have done nothing to show that I am harmful to myself or someone else, and I haven't made any threats to anyone. Mm-hmm. So you literally have no right to take me into a mental institution. They literally put me in handcuffs, put me in the car, and told me, you know what, we're taking you down here. And by the time they got me to the mental facility, the Secret Service guy walked in and told a psychiatrist, he says, I need you to diagnose him with something. And I said, what? He says, yes, I need you to diagnose him with something. He's running around with this information scaring the public.
Wow.
And so it began this whole ordeal of me trying to keep my composure, because I now know for a fact that, okay, I am being railroaded. These people are literally, they are out to get me. They want me locked up. They want to discredit me. So it became like almost 10 days of me being in the mental institution. And every day I walked around with my T-shirt of Aaron, Alexis, and Myra May on it. And on the back of my T-shirt, I've got a picture of Robert Duncan. And at the top it says, raising awareness about citizens being used as targets in CIA and military directed energy weapons, non-consensual human experimentation, no-touch torture programs. All right.
Let me stop you 1 second, because my mind, I'm ready to explode, and I'm trying to control myself. And I applaud you on what type of self-control you had. You are a smart guy, and I really thank you for that. Because as you said, if you left, any human being that is little emotional, when they try to put you in a cage, okay, because that's a cage. I don't care how you call it. It's a modern facility cage that you have no business to be there. And when you know that you have no business to be there, you've done nothing wrong, normally an animal has the instinct to say, wait a second, I'm not going to that cage. Okay, so it would be pretty normal for a human being too to say, wait a second, I'm not crazy. Don't put your hands on me, filthy rats. Get away from me. Seriously. And you were smart. First of all, you did not resist, I hope, because otherwise they would charge you with more. And thank God you were somehow patient enough to put up with this pile of trash, because I tell you, they would have kept you 6 months. Forget about 10 days. And I tell you, I commend you for that. You got a very strength inner inside. And I tell you something, when you were inside, did you speak with the psychiatric? Did you have to talk with people, I guess, I'm sure? And did they give you any type of medication against your will?
Well, okay, so let me tell you what's interesting.
Yes.
The first day I get there, there's a lady who comes into the, she comes into the psychiatric unit, and she's a patient, and she was talking about how she had threatened her family, she had threatened to harm her family, and they let her go. And I said, wait a minute, you guys are letting her go, and she's threatened to harm her family, and I haven't done anything? And they go, well, Mr. Dew, it's not us. The Secret Service wants us to keep you. I say, Secret Service wants you to keep me? I said, why are you guys listening to the Secret Service? Your job, their job was to bring me here because they can against my will. Your job is to evaluate me and let me go. Mm-hmm. And then it became this whole ordeal. To me, I'm gonna tell you, as soon as that lady walked out of there, I said, you know what, Tyrone, take this as a learning experience, take a deep breath, and learn exactly what it's like to be forced into a mental institution, knowing you're a TI, knowing that your rights are being violated because you are not the only citizen that this is happening to. I said, all right. So they transferred me from one facility to the next. When I went to the next facility, that's when there was a guy there by the name of Dr. Lowy. Okay, he literally is the psychiatrist. Really short Jewish guy. He doesn't really do much of an evaluation. For the first day I get there, he goes, oh, yeah, put him on Risperdal, or put him on. And I say, wait a minute, doc. I say, what do you mean put him on Risperdal? Gee. And he goes, oh, well, that's what I'm prescribing you. I said, how are you going to prescribe me any kind of medication when you have not given me any kind of evaluation? Yeah. I said, aren't you supposed to give me an evaluation, to figure out if, if I need medication? And he goes, well, who are you? And I says, doc, I'm Tyrone. I'm the patient who you just said put him on Risperdal. Mm-hmm. And he goes, I thought you worked here. I say, no, did you hear what I just told you? You need to evaluate me before you try to put me on medication. And so I listen, on the wall, they had the patient's rights. I walked over to the wall and I pointed at patient rights. I believe it was like article number 14 of patient rights. It says here that I have the right to refuse medication. Yeah. If I am not mandated by the government or a judge, to take medication. I said, you cannot, force medication on me. He says, okay, well, I guess I'll just have to evaluate you and then put you on medication. I say, wow, you are really pushing the medication. I say, what, do you have some kind of relationship with the pharmaceutical companies and you get some kind of, some kind of commission check? Mm-hmm. If you have all your patients on medication? And he says, no, that's not what's going on. Well, let me look into your files, and then we'll sit down and we'll have a conversation. Okay, this is like day 2 of me being in the mental facility. Okay, day 4, he finally comes over to talk to me. I'm going, all right. We sit down, we talk. He looks at my shirt, and he says, who are those guys? So I began telling them the story about Aaron, Alexis, Myra, May, about how I wrote a book about, this person's life who was ruined, with this technology, told them, hey, look, it's my personal story. I've also interviewed Robert Duncan, who's admitting this is happening, and his entire story changed. His story, the doctor's story went from trying to force medicate me to trying to keep me locked away forever. Literally, he literally became trying to keep me locked away forever. He began taking away my phone privileges. He then began trying to irritate me so that I would blow up and do something, mean, and exhibit behavior that I typically wouldn't, so he can have a reason to put me on medication. But I didn't do anything. I literally sat there, talked to him, and I used my wit. To outwit him, and he could not take it. He hated it. It's like, it was almost like if a doctor, is talking to a patient who is smarter than he is. Yes. You cannot pigeonhole me with a conversation and have me believing something that isn't true. you just can't do it. You can't sit up here and try to manipulate my mind into believing that, oh, maybe you're crazy. Maybe, maybe you shouldn't be thinking that you have the free will to walk across, to be out here protesting about, what the government is doing. I personally wouldn't do it. I say, well, what would you do? He says, well, you're 33 years old. You don't have a 34 years. 34? Yes, 34. I was almost 35. He says, you're 34 years old and you're not married. He says, that right there is an indication that there's something wrong with you. I say, wait a minute, Doc.
Are you kidding me? Oh my God! Now we have now the moral judge telling us if you know what? It depends how many wives I have. Are you kidding? This person is crazy.
Says,
oh my God! This is insanity.
You're 34 years old. You don't have a wife. You don't have any kids. Don't you think there's something wrong with it? I said, no, I don't think there's something wrong with it. I like women, and I like having more than one woman. I said, is there any problem, with me playing the field at 34, 35?
So all the single out there, let me spell it out. Everybody out there in their first 30s, middle 30s, who have no wife, and if you have no children, you are potentially a mental case according to the psychiatric hospital.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. According to Dr. Lowy, you're exhibiting psychiatric behavior, psychotic behavior because you don't have a wife and kids at 30, in your early 30s or late 30s.
Wow.
So the conversation began when we were talking about, how I got into the mental institution and how many days I'll be there. And he was telling me things like, I can keep you here as long as I want. I just have to evaluate you. And, why don't you take medication? And I told him, I said, Doc, medication will never work for technological abuse. I say, even now, while being in this mental facility, if I was to become attacked by these directed energy weapons with brain-to-computer interface technology, these frequencies are able to lock onto my brain print, and they go through the wall. So imagine when your cell phone rings. When your cell phone rings, it really doesn't matter where you are.
Mm-hmm.
That particular signal is going through the buildings. It is going through a car if it drives by. It's going through an airplane if an airplane flies over your head. These signals. And you can't see the frequency when they're connecting to your cell phone, okay? I say just like you can't see the frequencies when they're attacking our brains. And, we tell you that, we hear a voice talking to us. We tell you that, our emotions are changing. We're telling you that we're feeling extreme pain. So the doc says, well, you know what, Tyrone, I'm going to give you a few more days, and then I'm going to evaluate you, and, we'll see what the Secret Service wants us to do with you. I say, you'll see when the Secret Service, you'll see what the Secret Service wants you to do. I said, what about your opinion? He said, my opinion doesn't matter.
Wow.
So what do you mean? He said, the doctor literally tells me his opinion doesn't matter.
So this is the point. This is the proof that exactly like in Russia, when the KGB used to have all the political dissidents, before they put them into the gulags, they had an option to put them in the mental institutions. That's the bottom line. So that's where we are right now in 2015, 2016 in America. And this is factual. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bash America, but this is a fact. This part of America must be taken back. We must expose it. We must talk. Because I tell you, if you are out there, I don't care if you believe or not in target individual, but if you're okay with this behavior, shame on you. Seriously, shame on you. Yeah. No, I don't care who you are, Tyrone. I don't care if you were talking about the most disgusting things that we may agree or not. That's not the point. No human being, I don't even think a dog deserves to be treated the way they treated you. Seriously, a dog, an animal, shouldn't be forced to be in a cage if there's done nothing wrong. Okay, just because he likes to bark, maybe. Okay, this is insane.
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah,
insane.
I mean, you know what? You are absolutely right. So, the people who work there, the staff members, right? The doctor comes out and he tells the staff members, put them every night. They do the pill call, where they do roll call, trying to get you to, take medication. So I'll walk up to the desk and say, hey, look, you know what? I ain't taking any medication, And then the staff says, Tyrone, what's going on? Who is that on your T-shirt? Now, there were several black people who worked at this facility in Washington, D.C. at PIW, okay? And they noticed that I was not exhibiting any kind of mental behavior, psychotic behavior. They noticed that, hey, so they began asking me, why are you here?
Yeah.
These are the staff members. So I began telling them the story about, I wrote a book. This is what's going on. I've interviewed Robert Duncan. Some of those people went home. And when they went home, they researched what I was talking about. And they came back to work and they said, brother, do you know what you up against? I said, yeah. I said, but they've already taken $2 million from me before I was 30. I don't really, now I'm destitute. There's no reason for me to be quiet. It becomes a point when you know something is so wrong. If you're not going to say anything about it, then you're just as wrong as the people who are doing it. You gotta speak up about this kind of stuff that is so wrong.
I agree.
So
let me stop you 1 second. Sorry, because it's hard. It's hard for me to metabolize all this, and I hope it's hard also for our listeners. And I say, guys and girls and ladies and wherever you are listening to this conversation, even in the future, because I will put it out on YouTube and for posterity. Once you, as you said, Tyrone, when you find out the truth, if you're silent, you're going to be as guilty as the perpetrators. That's why I tell you, when I started to touch this topic 1 year ago or so, thanks to a friend, my friend Ken Rhodes, started to introduce me to this, I started to discover it was true. And then I had to make the decision, ignore it or talk about it. I cannot go back at night in front of my mirror when I brush my teeth without spitting in my face if I find out that I have not the courage to expose this evil. And I might be just a little voice here in Mojave County or wherever I am with this broadcast and wherever. I don't care how many people listen, but I gotta go to sleep at night. And one day I'm gonna be dead anyway. I don't care if these bastards, they're gonna kill us first or later. I don't care. We're all gonna die. These devils too will die. And we'll see each other on the other side, and we're gonna kick your ass no matter where you are. And I mean it. There is a justice somewhere. It will be. Meanwhile, we have to do our part. And I applaud you, Tyrone, for have the strength, the courage, and the determination to keep speaking up so eloquently, by the way. I try to speak with my broken English. I try to say what I can. But you are a smart guy. You have the facts. You got the numbers. You have the research. And I applaud you for that. And I think that's why they're afraid of you. You're not just a regular guy trying to go out and trying to talk. You have all the right things. That's why I'm somehow a little concerned about you. Did you have any type of situations after let's go back to that. I'm sorry, I'm losing my mind. How many days did you spend there in that facility? About 10 days, you told me?
Yeah, I spent about 10 days in the facility. Around the 7th or 8th day, everyone who was there, who was, people who worked there, the staff members, the doctor came out one day, and the doctor says, you guys put him on medication. And I turned to the staff members and I say, listen, he can't force medicate me. I will file a lawsuit against this, against this place if you guys try to force medicate me. Then I said, listen, aren't you guys supposed to be evaluating me? Isn't my psychiatric evaluation based on a team effort? And everyone there, except for the doctor, except for the psychiatrist, this Dr. Lowy character, he said, everyone else says, you know what, Tyrone, you're absolutely right. We're all supposed to be evaluating your behavior. I say, well, have I exhibited any signs of psychotic behavior or mental disorder that you guys would deem reasonable to put me on medication? Mm-hmm. Everyone on the staff said no. Everyone said no. So now the psychiatrist, he says, oh, so you guys are going against what I'm telling you to do?
Wow.
And they literally looked at him and says, you know what, Doc, you're wrong. Wow. And he goes, oh, well, I'm just trying to tell you what Secret Service wants. And I guess we'll have to talk to the boss about this particular patient. So on the 7th day, after that conversation with the psychiatrist and the staff, I get a call from a lady named Elvira. Okay, I get a call from her. She says, Ken Rhodes is worried about you. I say, how did you find out where I'm at? She says, it took me a while to track you down, but I did it. I found out where they got you at, and Mr. Ken Rhodes is worried about you. So she says, give him a call. I call Ken. Ken says, Tyrone, we're going to try to get you out of there. I said, well, you guys do what you can. The next day, there were literally hundreds of phone calls pouring into the psychiatric facility. The people there couldn't even do their job. The switchboards every day was completely packed. The doctor came in. He says, who is Pete Santilli? I say, he's the guy who, owns he does a radio show, radio broadcast. Why is he trying to get you out of here? I say, what do you mean? Why are you concerned about Pete Santilli and him talking about this? Because no one is supposed to know what we're doing in here. You know you're not supposed to be in here, but you have people like him who are trying to advocate to get you out of here, and I am now concerned. I said, what are you concerned about? He says, he says, there are thousands of people who are calling into this mental facility. Some of these people are threatening me, telling me that I better release you. Tyrone, will you call them and tell them that it's not me, Secret Service put you in here? I say, no. I said, I told him, I said, I will not call anyone and tell them that Secret Service is the one that put me in here. I said, you know what, I will tell the public, yes, Secret Service put me in here, but you're keeping me here. Well, Tyrone, I have to do what Secret Service tells me to do. You understand? You understand? I said, I do not understand. I say, one, Secret Service put me into the mental facility. Your job, and just like I told them before, your job is to evaluate me and release me. You know, you are holding me against my will here. So within 2 days after these phone calls kept pouring in, they finally released me. You know, they literally released me. The psychiatrist, he had a conversation with me before I left. He says, Tyrone, I'm concerned about you. I say, why are you concerned about me? He says, because either you are the second coming of Christ and you have an important message to tell the world, and, you know, maybe your message will never be known. He says, or you have a mental illness. He says, but I will not sit up here and pretend that these type of technologies, you know, don't exist. He says, I cannot pretend that that the government, you know, commits non-consensual human experimentation. He says, but I have to go by what my boss tells me to do because I like my job. And I went, what? He says, yes. He says, so please, no hard feelings. You know, this is not a personal decision of mine to keep you in here. He says, but, you know, maybe somewhere in the near future, you know, I'm going to have to tell people I had a patient who was telling me that the government is literally making people crazy, you know, using these technologies against them. He says, I don't know if it'll be in my lifetime. I don't know if either of us will be alive. He says, but what you're doing, you know, it scares me. And maybe you would care if you had kids. Maybe you would care if you had a wife. I say, well, you know what? It's not that I don't have a wife and kids. It's the reason why I don't care. I say I actually care. That's why I'm out here delivering this message, because there are people's lives. You know, we earned our life. You know, Aaron Alexis was an information technician, okay? It takes some brains to become an information technician for the Navy. Myra May was a successful trial attorney, okay? The guy actually went to school. You know, he earned his way to being, you know, an assistant and a trial attorney for the District Attorney of New Mexico. I was an internet millionaire. You know, I literally became a millionaire before 30 years old. Wow. Down there before 29, I was a millionaire, 27. But what they did to me caused me to be destitute. You know, the horrific experiences I was having. But then when I found out that there are more people who are victims, you know, more people who are victims who were credible people in their lives, very credible people like Karen Stewart, people like Deborah Tavares. There's so many TIs that, you know, are credible and were successful in their life. And it's almost as if, why won't the public listen to us? You know, why won't the public listen to those of us who are, you know, we can articulate what's happening? You know, in any other aspect of life, the public would have admired us. You know, a guy like Aaron Alexis, you know, being an information technician, he could have went back to his neighborhood and people would have looked at him as a nerd. You know, oh my gosh, Myra May being an attorney, you know, people in his neighborhood looked up to him. And the same with me, you know, being an internet entrepreneur and becoming a millionaire. So I mean, it's like they are taking, and this literally takes some thought. Okay, when it comes to experimentation, would you rather choose people who aren't intelligent? You know, if you're going to use a technology that is so advanced, you know, if you're going to have, you know, artificial intelligence, you know, brain-computer interface technology, or would you choose some of the brightest people, you know, the brilliant people, and attack them to see if it's effective? You know, because if it's effective on us, then the rest of the public is pretty much a piece of cake.
I see the case. I was going to ask you this question exactly. Why you think people like yourself, you just answered to my question. The point is, if they can modify your life, destroy your life, modify your behavior, and you have, let's say, some sort of above the average, you know, mind, yes, think what they can do to already pretty much control population. I mean, the average person out there, the IQ is going lower and lower. And this is not a conspiracy between the television and the indoctrination that they have at school and the food and the fluoride in the water and the vaccines. I mean, the mercury in vaccines. I mean, they want to create us like in the Brave New World, a new type of subhuman species that, of course, then final part of the equation, they will control also our already destroyed, broken down lower mind with this technology, and that's going to be easier for them. Listen, what do you do now for living, if I can ask? I mean, you went through from a great career in the internet business, and then you started to have problems, I guess, related to you could not perform anymore because of these type of attacks. Am I right?
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. I became unable. It seemed like every time I would try to achieve something, they would literally attack me, and I mean heavily attack me for days and weeks.
Like
you
what?
Gotta imagine if you're working on a project, even in the regular corporate world. Not saying you're the business owner, but if you are working in the corporate world and you become attacked for 2 or 3 weeks, that makes you unable to function during your most important time. So what will happen? You become ineffective to your team members. The projects are not meeting deadlines. So and what do people do? They take their business and go elsewhere.
Give me an example. I have a few minutes left. Give me a practical example. What was happening to you when you were still in business?
Well, okay, and this is going to seem kind of very interesting, and it may seem weird, but I would hear this voice talking to me, and then I would feel extreme pain, like painful vibrations, and I would feel my brain would feel like it was being electrocuted. And then they remind me of times when they would electrocute my brain. They would tell me, if you want the pain to stop, this is how you have to behave. And they would tell me to go do things like go to a nightclub, go to a strip club, and they would say, now spend your money like your kind of people like to spend their money. And they would be referring to the ignorance of the black community. They would say, we are trying to make you behave how athletes and rappers behave. And I would go, I'm not trying to be an athlete or a rapper. I'm a goddamn internet entrepreneur. You know what I mean? I am not any of those people. So then when I would have meetings, I would literally have meetings with particular clients. And on the days I have my meetings with my clients, I couldn't even get out of bed some days because I was going through severe attacks.
Wow.
This stuff, so what happens when you can't meet with your clients? Then they say, what do they think? Oh, well, you know what? This guy here, we don't want to work with him and his company. We need to go, we need to work with someone else. So those are the kind of things I would experience. Not only would they force me to spend through torture, but then when I would need to get another contract, they would attack me to where I couldn't even meet with my clients to proceed with contracts. I mean, it became a nightmare, a living nightmare.
Listen, I want to first of all pray for you, regardless of what religion you believe by. With my soul, I would like to be close to you because I believe what you're doing is important. And regardless, people may believe or not on target individuals, just the fact that you're standing for your First Amendment and you were forced to be into this facility and you kept your coolness and you kept your wit, as you say, and you were able to, get out one piece, of course, with the help of the independent media or everybody else. And I really believe at this point we are on this together as human beings, because when we understand the truth, help is not going to come from the government. That's for sure. They're part of this problem. That's a fact. So all we can do, we need to start to learn the facts, share the facts, create a critical mass, and start to be ready to stand up for each other. Because I tell you, if I know that they lock you up in a place and you are there and you are completely not a danger to others, to yourself, wait a second, this is for me called kidnapping. And it's not different from what they do right now in what they could do probably 100 to 100 years ago in some part of the kingdoms, okay? You know what? If somebody get kidnapped, it's our duty as a human beings to come and free you. That's the way I look at this. So we got to stand up and be in touch, please. I want to give you the last 60 seconds. Give your website, push and pimp your book, whatever you want to do, whatever you're going to advertise, go ahead. I'll give you 60 seconds.
Well, look, within the next 60 seconds, all I'm going to say is you guys can go to my website, www.tiawareness.com. You can purchase a copy of my book. You can purchase T-shirts. All proceeds, support my efforts of raising awareness with the truth. But within the next few seconds, let me tell you guys this. On July 6th, the House of Representatives are trying to pass a bill called 2646. You should take a look at it. They are giving family members more power to send people to mental institutions. They're giving the mental institutions power to have longer stays. So imagine if you get into an argument with your family and they send you to a mental institution and you're locked away for 14 days instead of the mandatory 72 hours, which is what the law says. Within those 2 weeks, if you are not mentally ill, and now they can force medicate you because that's what this particular bill is advocating for, and it actually passed 422 votes to 2. There are only 2 representatives, one in Michigan and one in Kentucky, who actually said nay to this particular bill. So imagine you as a regular citizen who are not mentally ill, just a regular conversation with your family, got irate, and you go to a mental institution. Within those 2 weeks, you will be force medicated, and you will lose your job. And if you have an apartment, if you can't go to work, what happens with your apartment? You're going to lose your apartment. This is serious. The government is using technology to make us mentally ill, and they are now making mental illness laws even stricter. So, we as a people, we need to get up and fight against this.
Very good. Listen, thank you very much, Tyrone. And guys, don't go away. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna. These are serious information. This is not a hobby. This is not entertainment. Could be your life, our lives, the future of our next generation and our present. You've been listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom, ready for hour number 2. Great information about guns and training. And guess what? I'm never going to go in any mental facility. That's why I carry a gun. And this is not a threat. This is a fact. Sorry about that. Don't want to sound extreme. Don't go away.
He's a songwriter, a poet, a rifleman.
I'm not afraid.
And a constitutional activist.
I'm not afraid.
Italian by birth.
I'm not afraid.
American by choice. Gianluca Zanna.
I'm not afraid.
And his new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom. 16 powerful songs on one CD from the heart of a patriot. For download or to order the CD, go to www.lovegunsfreedom.com. That's www.lovegunsfreedom.com. Lyrics for your mind, music for your heart. Gianluca Zanna's new CD, Love, Guns, and Freedom.
Hey, you. Yes, I'm talking to you. You deserve a break. Enjoy a moment of indulgence. It's time for Zanna Coffee. Guilt-free pleasure. Zanna Coffee is the organic coffee to amplify your senses and enhance love for life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Only the best organic and GMO-free coffee beans from around the world that I selected. Zanna Coffee brings you happiness in every cup. Fair trade certified, sustainable organic coffee. That means we do not use slaves. Free Zanna songs with every coffee bag. Find Zanna Coffee at www.zannacoffee.com. www.zannacoffee.com. Get your coffee bag now. Don't be cheap. Life is too short and you deserve the best. Zanna Coffee. You're listening to Love, Guns, and Freedom with Luca Zanna on United States.fm network.